Well, everybody. How was that? Pretty good, I'd say. It was indeed royal of me to play that song. That was King of Eve, the title track of that album, King of Eve, by the absolutely stunning and talented Luna Vexa. That album is actually out right now as of Friday, so it's fresh. Go and check it out. But before you do check it out, do not press pause, folks. Do not even think about pressing that button because you're in for a real treat because I have the artist with me right now, Luna Vexa. How you going?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty damn good. Just had dinner, ate some pasta. So I'm all
Nice.
carved up. So a little bit, you know how
You're
when you
ready
eat
for
pasta, you feel a little bit lethargic. But then I pump myself up. I washed my face, gargled some salt water so I don't cough too much. And I think I'm at that level where I'm good.
I tend to do that a lot. Like, I'm talking all normally, then I'm like, okay, I need to swallow again. Oh, my God.
So tell me, what are your influences? What's your favorite color? No. Welcome. Let's do this properly. Welcome to Bar Talk. First of all, well done on the album. You must be just like in a buzz right now because it's just fresh. Like it's, well, as we said, just last week, and you're busy running here to there, trying to get as many interviews in as this week as possible.
Yeah, I'm super, super relieved. I mean, it was a 2-year project, so I'm really, really happy it's out and my baby's in other people's hands now. So, yeah.
I guess it must be a massive relief because, you know, as you say, 2 years, that's like
it's been a long time.
That's a lot of effort to put into a single project. Were you expecting it to take that long?
No, there was a few setbacks, but it all worked out in the end. And because it was crowdfunded as well, it took a little bit longer. So everything had to get funded first, had to get like merch packages together, had to ship out like 100 packs and do the music video and fly to Brisbane to record. And so everything took a while, but we're here. We made it to the finish line. So I'm super happy it's out.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's an interesting choice to go with in terms, especially for someone who hasn't released their debut album. Usually you get these examples of artists that do the crowdfunding for their album, but they're very established artists. They've had followings for years and they usually do it. Well, I mean, not usually, but in some ways I've heard some examples of some artists, I can't think of the name, where they do it to try and not wrench free, but sort of break free from the standard, you know, major label formats. They can go, no, I can fund this myself. I've got the fans that are loyal to me and that sort of thing. And it certainly sounds like you've got that troop of loyal followers, which is again is quite amazing considering this is your first record. But
I've got a Vexa army behind me. Like
is that what they call them?
I've got a kingdom from my first EP. I've got so many loyal followers that I'm so grateful for. And I honestly didn't expect to raise so much money because it was almost double of what I was going for. And it was supposed to be an EP, but it turned into an album. So I was super stoked about that.
I've heard that one before. We should call your loyal followers the Vexa Vanguard, I think. If you're going to go with that royalty theme, you know, King of Eve, the purple color. Actually, on that subject, so I'm assuming you're trying to go for a certain image when you pick these phrases and the color scheme.
Yeah. I guess you're talking about like lots of purples and pinks.
Yeah, because as I'm sure you know, and as I'm sure a lot of our listeners know, purple is the color of royalty, and it has been since the days of the Roman Empire and that. So were you trying to go for that? So obviously you're trying to go for that royalty idea, but where did that inspiration come from in terms of going for that style?
I honestly, I've just always loved those colors, and I just thought that King of Eve just suited that so perfectly as well, and my hair's that color too, so it all just kind of fell into place. I didn't think about it too much. Yeah,
no, it's amazing how you don't think of it that way, yet it works. I guess it has... I was noticing this when I was listening to it, that the album has almost like a tone of rising above where you've come from and sort of sitting, I guess, on a throne and looking down and almost reflecting on what's going on around you and sort of trying to get above that. So I guess, I don't know whether that's subconsciously where you were going, but that's sort of what I got when you think about that tone and what the songs are about too.
Yeah, a lot of songs, I guess it touches on where I've been and now where I'm at, but also like fighting for your own kingdom and how it kind of feels, I guess for me personally, the music industry, but for anyone else, they can relate to it in their own industries or their own life, what they're fighting for, their dreams. And I really wanted people to feel powerful when they listen to these songs. So yeah, I did my best to try and create that environment.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Give us a bit of a rundown on, I guess, I don't say inspiration. I've already used that word, haven't I? I'm thinking more of like the terms of the themes you were going for with the music. Were the songs, because you mentioned before you were going to go for an EP and then it turned into an album. Were you intending to have all the songs link up thematically the way that it has worked out? Or were they really just individual songs that you sort of worked out, oh, they actually fit together better than I thought?
Yeah, they were all kind of written around the same time, so they did work out kind of being about similar concepts, because the main concept of the album is obviously about the kingdom, but it's also about illusions, and Illusions is one of those tracks where I really question people's realities and like what they believe and how they're limiting themselves and that kind of thing. So Illusions runs through the album as well, like I'm not who I thought I was, or this person isn't who I thought they were, and things like that.
Cool.
But back to your question, because I kind of blabbed off. But
look, that's okay. We all do it at the best at times. That's fine.
Yeah. They all kind of just fit together. And then when I was making the track list and trying to choose where everything goes, I was like, they could go anywhere because they're all so unique, the songs. They have this kind of atmosphere and sound that ties them together, but they're all very different. So yeah, it just worked out. What
did you end up having to cut a lot of songs from the final product? Or most of the ones that are there, the ones that you wrote specifically for it?
Yeah, I had probably like 30 songs that didn't make the album that I, could have chosen from, but I would say that a lot of these were the best ones that I wrote.
Yep.
And then there's some new ones that I wrote after I already recorded them, and I was like, oh gosh, should I do another album? Or yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. With going into more of that, the events, I guess, that have led up to the album, take us back a bit to where you started out with your own musical journey. Were you always into listening to music as a kid, or was there a particular point where you sort of discovered your love for it?
Yeah, I grew up in one of those broken homes, so I feel like music was something that I would just escape into, lock myself in my room and listen to music and listen to my favorite artist, sing along to it. I always loved singing as a kid, but I never got into it professionally until I was much older, around 19. So usually artists start quite young, 14, 15, but I was actually quite late when I started. And that's why I've always felt like this timer on me. I'm like, oh my God, time's running out. So I'm like trying to push things really hard. But no, that's
you know what they say, 27 clubs fast approaching. Got to get in there just in case you do a Kurt Cobain, No.
Yeah, I'm going to be 27 really soon, so that's terrifying.
Oh God, I made you feel bad.
God, yeah.
Okay, look, if this is the only album you ever pull out, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm done, done and dusted. It's literally. No. But it's, so I got into it around 19, and I actually started in metal because when I was young, I grew up with metal and rock as well. So I'd be sneaking into like over 18 gigs for like Parkway Drive and things like that. So really heavy music.
Yeah.
And then I toured around Europe with the artists Murder, Make Them Suffer, Whitechapel, and quite a few heavy bands.
Nice.
And then I decided to transition into pop, so it was quite random. I've done a lot of random things like that.
It's not unheard of. It happens a bit more often than you would think. I'm thinking of a couple of people I know. A good friend of ours actually that we played a song of hers back a few weeks ago. Deanne Crawley, otherwise known as Cami Cole, was in a prog band up until pretty recently. Now she's doing that sort of more grungy pop sort of stuff. So the transition, while your transition is certainly more contrasting, it's not I think, look, Gwen Stefani. Let's use the Gwen Stefani example. Like, think about "Don't Speak" compared to, "Ain't No Holler Back Girl." Like, that was apparently the biggest shock in music scene back in the day. Was it?
I loved it. I love Gwen. She was amazing.
Oh, there we go. There's now I know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's one influence that I'll mention.
She specifically said to me before, "Don't ask the influence question." Now I can't stop thinking about it. Oh my gosh. I fucking jinxed myself. That's what I did. I feel terrible.
If I just answer it, then we can move on.
Oh dear. What was I going to say? No, so you went from a transition from the heavy genres to pop.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a much of a big thing. It is like quite not a jarring transition, but it must take a bit of a hurdle to get into your head that this is the style of music I want to go to. Was there something that what did cause that trigger for you? Was it the idea that you can use different instrumentation? Was it a particular producer or musician that got you into that style?
It was more like my frustration of being in a band. It just, like when I was in bands when I was younger, it was like people wouldn't show up to rehearsals or people didn't want to do things. And I found that I was pretty much running the show most of the time. So I was like, well, I just want to go solo and see what happens. And I was honestly really terrified to do it as well. Like I always had, people around me. And it was always fun as well, but I just felt like, I don't know, it was something that called to me that I had to do.
Yeah.
And, I guess, my pop isn't exactly mainstream. It's quite underground as well. And it's got that darkness and definitely has that metal background in there.
Yeah.
So, I like the fact that I can experiment and do whatever I want with my sound at any point in time and change the image up and do. Yeah, it's a lot of freedom being a solo artist.
So
I think it's harder when you have a band image.
So you like the idea of pulling a David Bowie, being a bit of a chameleon, sort of maybe every time you put out a release, maybe switching styles up, go for something a bit different.
Like, I love how Halsey would release a pop album and then she releases Nightmare and it's like, whoa, like, what's that? I love that. And I'm kind of the same because I have, we're the same age and I think we grew up listening to very similar music. So I love having that metal and rock influence in there. And then sometimes I want to do something a bit more pop and then sometimes I'll do something more club. And I just, I love experimenting with that.
Nice. I was going to think what you said before too about the, it's like band members being unreliable. It's like that, that reminds me of, I'm going to paraphrase Back to the Future, be like, Doc, we got to make music and we don't have a drummer. And then he goes, where we're going, we don't need drummers. Whips out a drum machine, whips out the 808, let's do it.
Yeah.
My fingers are drums. I want to focus a bit on, because you mentioned a bit about, your metal influences, that's how I started out. And you can certainly tell with your vocal style too. What really stood out for me when I was listening to the album was the sheer focus on the vocals as the main instrument. Like metal vocals are, as you know, very much an important aspect of that, especially with a lot of singers that have very incredible ranges. But of course, with metal, like there's always you've got your vocals. Every single instrument is always as much at the forefront of everything else in a lot of cases, or traditionally speaking within that genre. Where as the pop you've done on this record, I've noticed it's very much all centered around the vocals. Like everything seems to be built out around that. You'll have the vocals and then the synths will be layered around it, and then the percussion, I've noticed, then seems to be layered on top of that. Was that, did you really want to go for an album that was very much vocal centric?
Yeah, definitely. I think the vocals was really important because there were so many things that I wanted to say and I want people to hear, and I didn't want it to get lost. So, it's definitely got the focus on that.
I want to talk a bit about your production as well. Actually, funny story too. We were mentioning before the interview, and this is not just my fault too. I partially blame our station manager Gareth because he made the same mistake earlier too. We thought your producer Jimmy Alexander was Jim Alexander, the Melbourne producer that we've interviewed before on this podcast. And at this point in time, I was going to bring up, oh, by the way, here's our connection. Da 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 da. How cool is that? What a small world. But no, so you mentioned you went up to Brisbane to record the album.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about how that working relationship was with your producer and your engineer.
Yeah, it was good. So obviously I did the crowdfund, and then I flew up to Brisbane, and we were in the same room, just working, the two of us, like creating the beats, because I had already written all of the songs beforehand. So that's why it's like really centered around the vocals as well, because I brought in all the vocals and the harmonies and everything that were already written, and then we wrote the beat around that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think I was there for the month, all of June, I think, in 2019. So yeah, it was really fun. And then that was finished, flew back down, and then like 3 days later, filmed the music video. So it was a pretty crazy schedule.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you did the whole thing in the month.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's like
probably a bit less than, yeah.
Considering like the attention to detail on it, that is quite a feat. So how did you end up meeting him? Because Brisbane's a bit of a distance from Melbourne. Let's face it. Like, it's not exactly down the road.
Yeah, well, he actually used to live here, and I think we just had each other on Facebook through mutuals, and then started chatting a few years ago, and yeah,
just a happy accident, as Bob Ross would say.
Happy accident. Yep. That's exactly what happened.
Happy little accident.
Yep.
Took a happy little cloud up to Brizzy. A happy little album. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Very proud of it. And Austin Leeds is amazing as well. I think he's worked with artists like Avicii, and David Guetta has played a lot of his mixes and things like that. So he mixed and mastered it, and he's just, oh my God, like amazing. Like he brought it to life. So it all tied together, all of our work.
Yeah, no, that's great that it was such a tight working relationship there. That's really cool. I want to chat a bit about, because you recently released your third single?
Which one?
Like You Love Me. You recently released that single.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes with an absolutely ripper music video. Tell us a bit about that. What was it like putting together such a high quality production?
Yeah. It was a huge project. So we were at the Daha Project, which is a bar in Melbourne, and we actually had the entire venue to ourselves to do a lot of scenes. And then we were in a studio north of Melbourne. We had a builder come in and build like a little indoor pool for me to dance in, which was nuts. And they filled it up with cold water, and I was like in latex, and I had to dance in that for 3 hours, and I almost got hypothermia because I didn't even notice. Like when I'm working, I don't stop. Like I'm really like, I don't know. I just never like go out. I'm like, the show must go on. So my assistant had to like drag me off set because I was like shaking uncontrollably, and put me in front of a heater with a blanket, and then I had to go back in, and yeah, it was crazy.
Have they not heard of hot water before?
Well, I mean, it's going to go cold anyway, and I think it was to be safer with the material that was on the floor.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it was just absolutely freezing.
There was some lawsuit risk in there somewhere. It's like, never mind you if you get hypothermia and you have to go to hospital. Yeah, no one's going to pay for that shit. Everybody cares about the floor.
It's just another battle wound for the art, so it's fine.
The battle scars. Well, where'd you get that cut? I was making a music video.
Yeah, I had bruises everywhere after that day. But yeah, it was very interesting. I ended up editing and producing that one as well, which was cool because I think that was the first like high quality music video that I've edited as well.
Yeah.
And that was super fun.
Congrats, because it is I didn't realize that you'd done it yourself, so well done. That was really cool. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
It needs more love. We need to send your love to Luna. Give it a comment on YouTube. Tell her to make sure she warms up. I was going to say, where you mentioned about the latex suit, the costuming was pretty cool. Where the hell did you get and I think I know where this answer is going, but where the hell did you get a costume like that? Because it isn't exactly something you go to Kmart for.
No, I had 16 sponsors on this music video because I was making a lot of business deals with people, and I ended up getting partnered with this company in Russia. So it's actually custom Russian-made latex. That was,
of course, it's Russian. That sounds like something you get drunk in vodka with, because you wouldn't, because it doesn't look like the most comfortable outfit.
It's actually really comfortable. Like,
okay.
you wouldn't think that it is, but I feel like you either love or hate latex, and I just feel like it's comfy for me. I don't know. Like, once you put it on, you don't want to take it off.
I was going to say, comfy latex. You should go cycling in it. Probably.
I mean, you have to be careful with it. It tears pretty easily. But
okay.
I was worried when I was dancing in it because, and I had heels on and I was falling over in that pool 100 times. Everyone was laughing at me. There was over a crew of 10 people. And, like, I look so sexy this music video, but, like, all the outtakes are me falling on my face.
We're going to get – oh, come on. Sure. Are we getting a blooper reel? Tell me we're getting a blooper reel.
I don't even know where that footage is.
Please.
I don't know where that footage is, but I'll try to find it.
Can you please give us a blooper reel? That would be amazing. It is.
I will try to find it.
It is the same outfit as the one you're wearing in your promo pics, yeah? Is that the same one?
Yeah.
Yes. No, I'm looking at them now. Yeah, no, it is.
So there's 2 different latex outfits that they send me, and then there's another one that I was wearing in the full bright lighting, which was pink and white. And that was cool. That was, comfortable. I mean, how comfortable can it be outside your pajamas, really?
Oh, no.
In isolation, like, I look so ugly. Like, I'm just in tracksuit pants, a jumper, like, there's no makeup, like, me and my housemate, we look like trash. That's what I was saying. And then I'm like, people see me on Instagram, this music video, they're like, wow, but I'm like, that's not real.
I sleep in that outfit. No.
I sleep in latex. It's so comfy. No, it actually is really comfy to me, but nothing's more comfortable than my jumpers.
True. So see, that was not something I was expecting to be like, but of course the Russians would be the only ones to know how to make latex outfits properly. Yep. Yeah. It makes total sense.
And it's custom fit to my body as well, so it's the best you can get.
Nice. That is a bonus. Shout out. What's the name of the company that does them?
Kinkside.
certainly a memorable name. Makers of high quality music video outfits. I'll have to get their details. I'm always looking for extra. I want to start going cycling, and if they can give me some custom cycling latex in shiny black, I'm all for that.
Absolutely. I'm sure they can do that for you.
Nice. Let's play Like You Love Me, because it is a cool track. And go and, as we said before, go and check out the music video after the episode. We'll be back soon with some more chats with Luna, going more about the story behind the album, hopefully, and a bit more other shit, whatever we decide to chat about, I suppose. Is that a yes, Luna? I didn't hear you.
Yes.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back soon on Bar Talk. And welcome back, one and all. That was Like You Love Me, the latest single off Luna Vexa's debut album, King of Eve. As you probably remember, I'm talking to Luna right now about all things album and all things latex. How you going? Still there, Luna?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Brilliant. That's a really good sort of bass drop. Really a good showcasing of the synth work that's on the album too. Did you do a lot of the instrumentation yourself, or did somebody else play?
Jimmy wrote a lot of that beat. I pretty much just directed and explained what I wanted, like a really throaty bass and, that kind of thing. And an artist called Burnout actually wrote the drop.
Oh,
so,
okay.
He was part of that, just that track though.
Yeah.
And I had my friend do a phone call and a fake American accent for the end, which was great because he found it hilarious. So he's forever in my song.
Nice. Oh, nice. Shout out to Burnout for a ripper drop.
Great.
I want to go a bit more into depth about what's going on with the album, because when I was listening to it, I could certainly tell that there was a lot of trauma going on, and I mean, a lot of sort of rough things going on. You can tell there is a relationship within the stories of the songs breaking down, but there's that fight going on over the control of, I guess, the protagonist's point of view in terms of trying to get control of the situation. I don't know if that was your intention with it, but that was certainly what I got out of it. But what I wanted to know was how much of the stories in the song are coming from your own experience. And if so, I guess, did you want to go into a bit more depth about where that came from?
Yeah, absolutely. In regards to trauma, I'm pretty sure my whole life has been traumatic, which is why I'm an artist. I just have this, hole inside me.
Yeah.
But yeah, the stories behind the songs, I guess, songs that are a bit more sad, like Speak to Me and Dreaming, I think it was really, if I'm going to be honest, like me chasing people who are unavailable, I just tend to do that sometimes. And like, I have so much to give and I was so patient. But for me, I think it was that frustration, but then also being patient for people that I loved and that I knew that loved me, but was struggling with their own troubles and things like that. And I did struggle when I was writing a lot of these songs. I was bedridden for about 8 months with my autoimmune disease, so I couldn't actually walk. I couldn't walk to my mailbox, which was very traumatic. To lose the ability to walk, you just feel worthless, and it took a while, but I taught myself how to walk again. Like each day I went from like 1 minute to 2 minutes to 5 minutes. So it took a long time. So, a very long time to build my strength back up. Yeah. And within that time, I wrote a lot of the songs on the album. So I think you can hear like there's sadness in there, there's anger in there. And I'm really glad that I decided to write songs when I was in that state. I think that's when you write the best art, when you're going through the most suffering. So that's another story behind that. Yeah,
wow, that's pretty incredible when you think about it. I was going to say, was there something that, and apologies if I'm delving too deep here, but was there a particular event that triggered that autoimmune response that you did have, or was it just a flare-up that was inexplicable?
Yeah, it was just an unexpected flare-up. I'm not sure what it was. It could have been a million things, which was, really scary. But then I also found out recently that I was bipolar. So, right. 2 diseases now, great. But been managing it fine. Like I'm really healthy and happy at the moment. But I think it was also tied into that because flying from mania to like severe depression was very, very difficult on my mental health and damages your brain over time as well. Yeah. So it was a lot to deal with, but I did write a lot of these songs when I was manic as well, like Illusions, for example.
Yeah, and you can tell with a lot of the songs too, there's that conflict going on. So I guess that sort of adds another layer to where that's coming from, which is really cool. Just remember, of course, as always, guys, Lifeline Australia, if you ever just want someone to talk to, 13 11 14, if you're in Australia. I don't know what the ones overseas are, but I know like in America and the UK and New Zealand, they all have their own separate ones. But if you're in Australia, 13 11 14, if you just ever need someone to talk to.
Absolutely. And don't forget that, you can overcome suffering. It's only temporary. All these things are only temporary and happiness is just on the other side. Just keep holding on.
Do you play many instruments yourself when you're writing these songs, or is it all vocal and then you're thinking about what instrumentation to add afterwards?
Yeah, so I play the piano. I taught myself by ear, and I also write string parts. Sometimes try to write beats. I'm not the best at that, but I did write all of the piano strings and vocals in Speak to Me. So that was co-produced by me. And I wrote all of Phantom as well, that interlude that's very creepy. So my stuff is very creepy and dark. So if you notice that there's a song that gets really dark, I probably wrote all of that.
Interludes work really well for albums though. Like they're the bits that you're like, I've got a 1 minute song, I just don't know where to put it. It's like, we'll put it in as an interlude. We'll call it the transition song. No.
Yeah, and I feel like it was placed perfectly. I think it's between dreaming and illusions, because illusions gets real crazy and dreaming chills. So I thought, yep, that's a good place to put it, right in between those two. Sandwich that in.
And yeah, I suppose you could almost like interpret it as like the changing of what's going on in terms of that mental state, those wild swings that happen between the songs in this case, which it kind of works. So yeah, that's cool. Going back to what you were saying about piano and that you said you learnt yourself. So was that something, as a kid, or like when you said you turned 19 and started getting into music, was it at that point you learnt?
Yeah, I swear when I was 19, I must have gone through a phase because I was like, I wanted to do everything right there and then. So I went and I got trained by a classical opera singer. Wow. So I've been classically trained for contemporary music. I don't sing opera. And at the same time,
there's no Wagner here.
What's that?
I said there's no Wagner here.
Yeah, and at the same time, I was head down 6 months teaching myself how to play the piano by ear. I just, hours every day, I was like, I'm going to do it. And it was, I think because it's the first instrument, it's always the hardest. And I'm learning guitar at the moment, and because I know all the chords and scales and stuff, I think it's a lot easier. But at the time, it was all fresh, had no idea about anything other than the fact that I had really good pitch in my head. So, yeah.
That must just make it so much easier. I remember I was very similar to you, actually. I learned how to play piano. I'd played guitar for years, but then when I was 18, 19, I decided to try and have a go at piano, and I've got terrible pitch. I'm not going to lie. I've got absolutely woeful pitch. So I feel envious already. And it was a real struggle because it was. You had to, for like the first 6 months, you're like, all right, that's C, that's D. Okay, that's right. 3 months later, okay, I can get onto a minor chord now. And it's like one finger, one key away. It's like...
you start with the majors. I start with the minors. I don't think I ever even play in a major ever.
Well, that explains a lot. No.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, that explains your life story. There we go. The end. Interview over.
I've cracked the code. No. No, I suppose, yeah. So I guess because it makes sense because a lot of the songs are in minor keys, though. Do you, because you mentioned you have that background in theory, so were you thinking actively in terms of how it fits within scales and that sort of thing when you're writing? Or do you just go, I'll plonk that together and, we'll whip this chord in and see how that fits?
Yeah, I guess when I'm writing on the piano, I will choose a key to write in, and then I will just play around with the chords and see what happens. I don't have like a method exactly. It just whatever comes out, comes out.
Everybody has a home chord on piano. What's yours?
I would say definitely C minor is a favorite.
It is a good chord to start off with. Very dark and mysterious.
And probably A flat minor as well. Yeah, there's a few.
Like so, black keys. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Do you ever just for fun just go in the black keys and go do the Chopin? Because you know the pianist Chopin from the 18th century. This is so funny. You know how you got a transpose function on your keyboard, right? So I think he had the very first transpose on his piano, but on his piano it was literally he had a mechanism because he only ever liked writing in C minor or playing the keys in C minor, which I'm sure you know.
I didn't know that. Wow.
It's all the black keys. Look, I might be paraphrasing here, so don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he got invented for him a basically transpose function on his piano where basically it lifted up the entire keyboard and moved it. So whatever key he wanted to play, he's like, I want to play an A. So you know what? He would lift it up, move it across so many strings and lift it down again. It's like suddenly he'd be playing all the black keys, but he'd be playing an A.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
D sharp, yay. It's like, it's like he was so stubborn, and he's like, he just wanted to have play piano on easy mode. It's like, come on, Chopin,
Yeah.
Work harder.
Wow. And he's so famous as well. And it's like, how could you be so lazy?
but you speak to anybody that's classically trained and they go, yeah, no, that makes total sense from the way like his writing style is. Because if you play it in the normal key without transposing it, apparently it's quite hard. But then you play the C sharp or whatever, it's just like, oh, this is easy. It's like, yeah, no shit. It's like if you play something on piano and then try and transpose it to guitar, it's always not going to fit.
Yeah, that's true. I might be in trouble then because I'm learning guitar at the moment. I'm trying to learn my own songs.
You only need to know the 4 chords. It's all good.
Yeah, it's pop. It's easy. It's fine.
Capos are just, socially more acceptable than using the transpose button on your keyboard anyway. So you're good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fine.
Tell us a bit about, we're going to play one of the tracks you mentioned before, Illusions. And you mentioned going into it about how it is that it represents a sort of a mishmash of ideas. Tell us a bit about how that song came together, because it does start out, it goes through several distinct phases. You have this cool, sort of odd, almost robotic sample sort of bit with your vocals, and then it goes into a trap
threw
verse.
Those in there.
All the
I'm
snippets.
so weird. Like, I'm so weird. Whenever there's something weird, like that's me doing something, and like the producer or someone else would be like, "Are you sure you want that in there?" I'm like, "Yeah, make it weirder." But yeah, sorry, yeah, go on.
It certainly does stand out because we're smack bang in the middle of the album, behind all these other pop bangers in between, either side. But you said it's actually been one of the ones which people have really sort of paid attention to since the album's come out.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I really didn't think it would be popular because it's such a weird song. It's so weird. I don't even know what genre it is. I just wrote it. I threw it together. I felt crazy when I wrote it.
It's bipolar genre. Poplar.
That I screamed on as well, like did a metal scream. And we actually used that sample from my home microphone in the end. We just used that one take I did at home, and I was like, yeah, let's just throw that in there as well.
I was going to say, you could name the genre by Poplar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, by Poplar.
That's
by Popular. That's amazing. That's
all
so
my
amazing.
adoring fans.
That song is so bipolar though. Like, I think this whole album is. It's the sun and the moon, really.
And yeah, I guess we'll play it in a sec. But what were you thinking of when you put together the lyrics and the verses for it? What was the idea?
So the lyrics touch on all different ideas. So the first verse is about how women are seen as objects in mainstream media, and that's an illusion as well because obviously they're just people. Or how men tend to see women, which is why I mentioned the lyrics doll-like anime. A lot of people don't know this because they look at the song, they're like, this is really random and weird, but it does have deep meanings. And then the choruses are more about how the start of a relationship is an illusion because you're not really showing who you are. You're kind of hiding parts about yourself because you're afraid to be vulnerable. Yeah. Which also severs connection with someone else and true, authentic love. And the second verse is about, I mentioned Aladdin. People like, it makes no sense. Like, what are you talking about? That's just another metaphor for an illusion, because he was a prince, but he was also a street rat. So I play with a lot of different ideas that are really cool. And so essentially the whole song is about questioning reality, kind of like a Matrix kind of dystopian-like world. So, yeah.
So it is one of more of those songs that is cloaked in ciphers and cloaked in a bit more obscurity in terms of trying to decipher the lyrics, which is kind of cool. And it does contrast, I suppose, with a few of the other songs on the album where it's very direct and you can say, oh, this is definitely about a failing relationship or trying to hold on to something. It's a bit more digging deep into what it's actually about, which is a cool contrast, actually. I really appreciate that in songwriting where you see those songwriters that can do both.
Yeah, it's very deep, and I wanted people to really question what it's about, and it has so many different meanings. I could talk about it for days, so I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Just going back a bit, just very quickly before we go and introduce the song, obviously, and talk about your socials and that. You mentioned about your fans, obviously surprising you. What has been the most surprising thing about your fan base, the Vexa Vanguard or whatever we called it before? What has
I think they call themselves lunatics, but
okay, that's better. Lunatics.
They're just so generous, that doesn't shock me because I've seen it for a long time now. But I think not just the crowdfund, but outside that, they're just, I've never seen such generosity because, as I mentioned, I came from a broken home. I didn't have people like that around me. So when I got into music, I didn't expect people to care about me or what I was doing, and they really, really do. And I appreciate that so much. Like, they always have my back, and they know that I've always got theirs. And just the generosity really blew me away. Like, some people put like $1,000 or more into my campaign, and I was just taken aback by that. I was like, that is incredible. Yeah. So amazing and so generous of them. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Shout out to the fans too. Great.
Yeah.
Without it, this wouldn't exist.
Sick.
Tell us quickly about your socials, where we can stream the album, where we can catch up with what you're doing, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm basically on all platforms worldwide in terms of streaming and downloading. So if you just look up Luna Vexa, Vexa on iTunes or Spotify, YouTube, I'm on anything. And I'm launching a merch store very soon. So if you keep an eye out on my socials, you'll see, T-shirts, jumpers, and signed booklets in the album and things like that.
Nice. Did you just do CDs or did you do vinyl as well?
Still looking into vinyl. I know a lot of people want it, but there's just CDs for right now.
Fair enough. They're not cheap. They're not cheap, guys.
They're not cheap. No, and it does depend because a lot of people do want it. So I'll probably end up doing a vinyl run eventually.
Nice. Yeah, there's always that cohort that just that believe it's like the next best thing to everything else.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So, of course, you've got your Facebook, your Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and all that as well. We can catch up on. Brilliant. So make sure you go and give her a like and a follow and everything else, and check out, obviously, all the music videos and everything else that's been put out for every single. Best of luck, too, with how it goes, because obviously it's still a lot of exciting stuff coming up in terms of that. So please enjoy the ride while it lasts. And I certainly look forward to seeing more material. And hopefully we can love to catch up with you in person and chat about and see how much things have changed from this chat.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Let's hope that COVID's over soon so we can do something other than going for a walk.
Yeah. Walks when you want to listen to the good albums, like King of Eve.
Exactly, yeah. Everyone's at home now. It's the right time. Check it out.
Exactly. Got nothing better else to do, folks. Come on.
Yeah.
But, again, congratulations on everything and all the best too.
Thank you.
Let's take it out onto the song. Tell us about the song. Well, tell us the song. Tell us who you're listening to. And, let's play the song.
This is Luna Vexa. You're listening to my song Illusions on Bar Talk.
AustralianMusiciansRadio.com